This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Amanda Stevens, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Monday, January 5th. The Foreign Ministry responds to U.S. deposing Venezuelan president. Taiwan's armed forces need budget to prepare contingency plans in the wake of US Venezuela action. And Taiwan strives for deeper European partnerships with visiting parliamentary groups. But first, today's top story. On Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that his administration had carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela, capturing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and flying them to the United States ostensibly to stand trial. On Sunday, Taiwan's foreign ministry said it will continue monitoring the situation and cooperate with the U.S. and other democratic allies for the goals of regional peace and prosperity. In a press conference at noon on Saturday, Donald Trump revealed that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife had been taken to New York, where they are set to stand trial. According to CNN, in 2020, Trump and his Justice Department charged Maduro for narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, and related charges, which he will likely be tried for now. During the same press conference, Trump answered reporter questions about who would lead Venezuela with Maduro gone. Initially, Trump said the United States would run Venezuela, though by the time of publishing, officials say they are assessing the possibility of working with Venezuela's new acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. Trump has also indicated the U.S. will seize Venezuela's oil reserves, stating, quote, "We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country," end quote. Venezuela has the largest verified oil reserves of any country in the world. In regard to the larger effects of this U.S. decapitation mission, analysts fear what precedent this could set, especially for the conflict between Russia and Ukraine and the heightened tensions between Taiwan and China. In Venezuela, former Vice President Rodriguez was designated as interim president by the country's Supreme Court over the weekend and was sworn in on Monday. While serving as Maduro's vice president, she also served as his oil minister and will be working with U.S. personnel overseeing the transition of power. To what degree is still to be seen, as on Saturday she claimed that Maduro is Venezuela's only president. Taiwan's foreign ministry responded on Sunday that it is very concerned about Venezuela's current domestic and international political and economic situation. Included in those concerns are the role of the Venezuelan authoritarian regime in international drug trafficking and the regime-caused humanitarian crisis, which the ministry pointed out have long impacted regional stability. The United States launched a strike against Venezuela, abducting President Maduro and his wife back to the U.S. to face prosecution. On Monday, the Vice Defense Minister Szu-chien responded to fears of potential copycat action in the region, saying Taiwan's armed forces have contingency plans for many situations, but may be held back in preparations by budget approval delays. The goal of the U.S.'s decapitation strike in Venezuela was to capture President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and take them back to the United States. President Trump and members of his administration have maintained that Maduro is a narco-terrorist, and he is currently set to be tried in New York State for narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, and related charges. But others, such as U.S. Congressman Don Bacon, expressed concerns that countries such as Russia or China could use this action to justify military action or invasion of Ukraine or Taiwan. Regarding concerns on how the U.S. mission may be replicated across the Taiwan Strait, Vice Defense Minister Xi noted that the national armed forces have contingency plans and drills and are well prepared. Speaking before attending a Legislative Finance Committee meeting Monday, he connected committee discussions for the 2026 budget with deterring enemy forces and protecting the national armed forces. Xi said,
Today's committee focused mainly on the budget. The annual budget includes many allotments related to deterring asymmetric warfare, deterring enemy forces, protecting soldier equipment, and caring for officers and enlisted personnel. Therefore, we hope that both the annual and special budgets will be submitted for committee review. As I said before, we are willing to compile the budget under legislative oversight.
In his report, Xi emphasized how the CCP's two-day military operations around Taiwan severely undermined Indo-Pacific peace and stability. He added that, faced with such pressures, time has become the most invaluable resource for defensive operations, saying every day of budget delay was irreversibly lost. Xi pushed for a quick review and adoption of the new budget as one of the greatest defense strategies for Taiwan and its Indo-Pacific strategy. The European-Taiwan Friendship Group delegation, consisting of 10 European Parliament or EP members, is visiting Taiwan from January 4th to the 9th. The Foreign Ministry, or MOFA, says Taiwan values its partnership with the EP and will work closely with members of the Friendship Group and the newly formed Formosa Club to deepen exchanges between Taiwan and the European parliaments in the coming year. The visiting delegation is led by Michael Galler, the chairman of the Taiwan Friendship Group and co-chair of the Formosa Club. Galler previously visited Taiwan in 2019, where he expressed strong support for Taiwan's international participation and emphasized that Taiwan and the EU have a complete relationship, even without formal diplomatic relations. MOFA says Galler is a strong supporter of Taiwan, noting his dedication to promoting exchanges between Taiwan and the EP, as well as assisting Taiwan in expanding its ally network within the European Parliament. The ministry warmly welcomes the visiting delegation, with a European Affairs Director saying they will continue cultivating friendly relationships with the Formosa Club and European Taiwan Friendship Group to promote deeper exchanges between Taiwan and the EP in the future. The European Formosa Club held its first annual meeting in Taipei in October last year, after it released a pro-Taiwan statement reiterating its commitment to deepening transnational parliamentary cooperation between Taiwan, the EU, and its Atlantic democratic allies. As for the visiting delegation, during their 5-day stay, they are set to meet with President Lai Ching-te, Foreign Minister Lin Jialong, members of the legislature, and other high-ranking officials to discuss matters of mutual concern. The U.S. military in South Korea will be expanding its operations beyond the Korean peninsula to establish a preparedness system for contingencies with Taiwan, according to a Sunday Nikkei Asia report. This move by Washington aims to strengthen deterrence not only against North Korea, but also against an increasingly assertive China. Seoul authorities have expressed their hope that defending the Korean peninsula is the top priority for locally stationed U.S. forces, but are also concerned that Washington may divert some of its 28,000 troops to other countries. Though the primary mission of the U.S. presence in South Korea is to deter North Korea, the growing consensus in Washington is that a contingency plan involving Taiwan is necessary. A report released by the U.S. Department of Defense in late December last year stated that Chinese military power is steadily advancing and is expected to possess the capacity to wage war and win war against Taiwan by the end of 2027. Nikkei quoted U.S. Forces Korea USFK Commander Xavier Brunson saying in December that South Korea is responding to threats both in and around the Korean peninsula. Bronson previously stated last November that South Korea's geographical location gives it a unique ability to influence multiple axes of competition, impacting North Korea to the north and China to the west. USFK recently released a map on its website showing the distances between U.S. forces in South Korea and major nearby cities such as Pyongyang, Beijing, Taipei, and Manila, pointing out the broader strategic advantages of USFK's presence in the region. The percentage of overweight and obese children in Taiwan has reached 30%, according to Child Welfare League Foundation or CWLF survey results released on Sunday, January 4th. The CWLF compared the number to the WHO's global average of 25% and calls for more focus on balanced nutrition through parental education, schools, and government assistance. The CWLF survey was conducted from September 8th to October 8th last year, with 1,255 valid samples from 5th and 6th grade students in Taiwan. CWLF Research and Organizational Development Department Director Huang Yushun states that the results show Taiwanese children currently consume excessive amounts of nutritional supplements, drink insufficient water, and eat junk food too frequently. These dietary habits can easily lead to anxiety, decreased concentration, insomnia, diarrhea, skin allergies, and constipation among school children. The survey also found that over 10% of school children eat breakfast less than 3 days a week. Nutrition affects children's growth and development, academic performance, and physical and mental health, pushing many parents to give children supplements. Nutritionist Dr. Remen emphasizes that more supplements are not necessarily better than consuming natural foods. She says that children's liver and kidneys are not fully developed, so supplements exceeding the safer upper limit can overburden young bodies and result in adverse effects. The CWLF says that reducing the intake of sugary drinks, snacks, desserts, fried foods, and processed meats is the best way to reduce obesity and protect children's health. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Amanda Stevens. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features, brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.